How are you guys doing? Today is Sunday, September 5th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the elite matchups and performances that took place in college football for the first Saturday of the 2021 season. That took place in the MLB season, and of course, that took place in qualifying soccer as well. And of course, I'm going to preview everything that's going on today as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. And without further ado, getting started with college football, looking at how the games from yesterday shook out, especially following the Thursday and Friday matchups. I'm going down the list in terms of the ranked opponents from the very top of the list. Starting with the number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. They took on 14th ranked Miami at the in Atlanta, Georgia. In this matchup, Alabama would end up beating Miami 44-13 after they outscored Miami 27-3 in the first half, essentially. For Alabama, their quarterback Bryce Young would throw for 344 yards and 4 touchdowns. And also, that's what he was really doing through the air as he was dominating. And the leading receiver for Alabama was Jamison Williams. He had 4 receptions for 126 yards and a touchdown. With this win, Alabama is now 1-0, and 14th ranked Miami is now they are now holding the 14th. Or I guess they're still 0-1 on the season. Jumping to the second ranked team in the nation, Oklahoma, they faced off against Tulane in Norman only because of Hurricane Ida. The game was supposed to be in New Orleans, but because the game had to get moved, they played the game in Norman, and Oklahoma would end up beating Tulane 40-35. The game at one point was as big of a gap as 40-22, even 37-14. Tulane scored a majority of their points in garbage time, and with this win, Oklahoma is now 1-0 on the season, and unranked Tulane is now 0-1. Jumping to third-ranked Clemson, they faced off against fifth-ranked Georgia in Duke's Mayo Classic. This game would go on and be a 10-3 win. This is a completely defensive matchup as we got to see two of college football's best defensive teams go at it. The only touchdown of the game will come in the second quarter off of a 74-yard pick six by Christopher Smith. In the third quarter, Georgia would take a 10-0 lead off of a field goal, and then Clemson's only score of the game would be off of a field goal themselves. Georgia would walk away with a 10-3 win, and now they hold a 1-0. Now they're 1-0 this season. For Clemson, their leading receiver was Joseph Ngata, who got 100 yards on 6 receptions. And then for Georgia, their running back Zamir White had 74 yards on the ground. He also had 13 yards through the air to give him 87 total yards of offense. And like I said, big win for the University of Georgia, especially knocking down a team such as Clemson. Moving on down the rankings, 6th-ranked Texas A&M faced off against unranked Kent State, and they were able to pull off a 41-10 win at home after they were able to outscore Kent State 31-7 in the second half. For Texas A&M, their running back Devin Achane, or their two running backs finished with 100 yards on the ground each. Devin Achane would finish with 124 yards on 12 carries and 2 touchdowns. Additionally, Isaiah Spiller would have 17 carries for 113 yards. He also had 24 yards on 2 receptions. That will give him 137 total yards of offense, giving the running backs a combined 251 total yards of offense, at least between the two. With this win, 6th-ranked Texas A&M is 1-0, and unranked Kent State is now 0-1 on the season. Jumping out to 7th-ranked Iowa State, they hosted University of Northern Iowa, and they would pull off a 16-10 win as they were trailing at one point of the game, but they were able to pull off the win in the first game of the season. For Iowa State, their running back Breece Hall would have 69 yards on 23 carries and a touchdown. He also had 31 yards on 4 receptions, so he had 100 total yards of offense. With this win, like I said, they're 1-0. 7th-ranked Iowa State is now 1-0, and unranked Northern Iowa is now 0-1. Moving down to the 8th-ranked team, Cincinnati, they hosted unranked Miami, Ohio, and Cincy was able to pull away with the 49-14 win. Their starting quarterback, Desmond Ridder, would throw for 295 yards. He completed 20 of his 25 passes. He threw for 4 touchdowns and a pick. He also ran for 31 yards and a touchdown, giving him 326 total yards of offense and 5 touchdowns. Also, their leading rusher, Jerome Ford, had 121 yards on 12 carries and a touchdown. Not to mention he had 19 receiving yards, so he had 140 total yards of offense. With this win, 8th-ranked Cincinnati is 1-0 on the season, and unranked Miami is 0-1. Jumping to the 11th seed, Oregon hosted unranked Fresno State, and they were able to pull off a 31-24 win. This game would be tied at 24. It did come down to the last 3 minutes. It would be a 30-yard run from Anthony Brown. That would give the Oregon Ducks the separation that they needed in order to win their first game of the season. And then looking at how Oregon was able to pull it off, looking at just looking at how both teams fared. Their quarterbacks Oregon's quarterback Anthony Brown would throw for 172 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for 56 yards and a touchdown as well. He will go on to finish with 228 total yards of offense on the day. Also, their leading receiver, Johnny Johnson III, had 76 yards on 3 receptions and a touchdown. With this win, 11th-ranked Oregon is 1-0, and unranked Fresno State is 1-1 on the season. Moving to the 12th-ranked team in the nation, Wisconsin hosted 19th-ranked Penn State, and Penn State was able to beat Wisconsin in the first Big Ten real clash of the season. For Penn State, their quarterback Sean Clifford would throw for 247 yards and a touchdown. He also ran for 5 yards. They gave him over 250 yards of total offense. And then their leading receiver, Jahan Dotson, would have 102 yards on 5 receptions as he had a touchdown as well. And then for Wisconsin, their leading rusher, Ches Malusi, had 121 yards on 31 carries and a touchdown. He also had 8 yards through the air, giving them 129 total yards of offense. With this win, 19th-ranked Penn State is now 1-0 on the season. With this loss, the 12th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers are now 0-1 to start their 2021 campaign. Jumping out to the 13th-ranked team in the nation, Florida hosted unranked FAU. Florida was able to pull away with the 35-14 win as they held FAU scoreless for the first 3 quarters of the game. For Florida, their leading rusher, Anthony Richardson, had 160 yards on 7 carries and a touchdown. He also completed 3 of his 8 passes for 40 yards, so Anthony Richardson would have a game for himself, 200 total yards of offense. Malik Davis had 104 yards on 14 carries and a touchdown for himself. With this win, 13th-ranked Florida is 1-0 on the season, and with this loss, unranked FAU is now 0-1 on the season. Jumping out to LA, the 15th-ranked USC Trojans hosted the unranked San Jose State Spartans, and USC would pull off a 30-7 win, scoring 17 of their 30 points in the fourth quarter. For USC, their starting quarterback, Keaton Slovis, would throw for 256 yards and 2 touchdowns as he completed 2/3 of his passes. And then also their leading receiver, Drake London, would have 137 yards on 12 receptions. And with this win, 15th-ranked USC is 1-0 on the season, and unranked San Jose State is officially 1-1 on to start their season. Staying in the same city, unranked UCLA hosted 16th-ranked LSU, and unranked UCLA was able to pull off another upset in week 1 to at least shake up the rankings a little bit. For 16th-ranked LSU, their quarterback Max Johnson threw for 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. And then their leading receiver, Keyshawn Boot, finished with 148 yards off 9 receptions and 3 touchdowns. For UCLA, their starting quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson threw for 260 yards for 3 touchdowns and a pick as well. Their leading running back, Zach Charbonnet, had 117 yards on 11 carries and a touchdown. He also had 35 yards on 1 reception alone. He will go on to finish with 152 total yards of offense on the day. Then also their leading receiver, Greg Dulcich, would finish with 117 yards off 3 receptions and a touchdown. With this win, unranked UCLA is 2-0 to start their season, and 16th ranked LSU is 0-1 to start theirs. Jumping down to the 17th ranked team in the nation, Indiana went to Iowa to face off against the 18th ranked Hawkeyes, and then the Hawkeyes will blow the Hoosiers out the water week 1, winning 34-6, outscoring Indiana 31-3 in the first half, and then the second half was a 3-3 second half. For Iowa, their leading rusher, Tyler Goodson, had 99 yards off 19 carries and a touchdown. He had 9 receiving yards, so he would go on to have 108 total yards of offense. For 17th ranked Indiana, their quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., would throw for 156 yards and 3 picks. With this win, 18th ranked Iowa is 1-0 on the season, and the 17th ranked Indiana Hoosiers are 0-1 to start their 2021 campaigns. Jumping out to Seattle, 20th ranked Washington hosted unranked Montana, and unranked Montana was able to pull off their first win of the season, beating 20th ranked Washington 13-7. Washington would score the first touchdown of the game, but eventually it would end up being a 4-yard run from Montana's quarterback Cameron Humphrey in order to win them the game. For 20th ranked Washington, their quarterback Dylan Morris threw for 226 yards, and he threw for 3 picks on the day. For unranked Montana, their quarterback Cameron Humphrey threw for 105 yards and then ran for another 14 and an additional touchdown. That was just enough for unranked Montana to start their season 1-0. And with this loss, 20th ranked Washington is now 0-1 to start their season. And then last but not least, looking at the last ranked the lowest ranked opponents to win, or the lowest ranked opponent face off and win yesterday, was 21st ranked Texas. They beat 23rd ranked Louisiana 38-18 after they would go on to outscore Louisiana 24-12 in the second half. For Texas, their starting quarterback Hudson Card threw for 224 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for a touchdown as well, so he had 3 touchdowns on the day. Their leading rusher Bijan Robinson had 103 yards off of 20 carries and a touchdown. He also had 73 yards off of 4 receptions with another touchdown. He would finish with 176 total yards of offense and 2 touchdowns. And then Texas leading receiver Jordan Whittington had 113 yards on 7 carries and a touchdown for himself. For the 23rd ranked Louisiana Ragin' Cajuns, their starting quarterback Levi Lewis would throw for 282 yards and a touchdown. Their leading rusher Chris Smith had 54 yards on 11 carries and a touchdown himself, as well as 19 yards, giving him 73 total yards from scrimmage. With this win, 21st ranked Texas is 1-0 to start their season, and 23rd ranked Louisiana is 0-1 to start theirs. Looking forward to what's going on today in college football, the only game that's taking place will be tonight at 7:30 on ABC, as the unranked Florida State Seminoles will host the 9th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And of course, very big game. It gets its own day, especially on week 1. But of course, that is how college football is shaking up as we walk through the season day by day. Looking at what's going on in the MLB, starting in our nation's capital, the Washington Nationals hosted the New York Mets for what would essentially be a doubleheader. In game 1, the New York Mets would end up beating the Nationals 11-9. The score was tied at 9 going into the top of the 9th inning, but it would be a 2-run home run from New York's elite infielder Francisco Lindor to give the Mets the first win of this matchup. For the Nationals in game 1, the start went to Eric Fetty. He allowed 7 runs in the first 3 innings of the game. He struck out 2. The loss would go to the Nationals closer, Kyle Finnegan. Finnegan would go on to allow 2 runs in the 9th inning as he struck out 2. With this loss, he's 4-6 on the season. In the Nats batting lineup, their center fielder Lane Thomas went 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. Their third baseman Carter Keyboom would end up going 3 for 5 with 3 runs. Their second baseman Luis Garcia would end up going 2 for 5 with a run. And then their left fielder Andrew Stevenson would end up going 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs and 2 runs. Stevenson would go on to hit his 4th home run of the season. And following the Mets win, jumping to the New York Mets side, the start went to Marcus Stroman. He allowed 3 earned runs in the first 5 innings of the game as he struck out 2. The win was given to the Mets setup relief pitcher Trevor May. He allowed no earned runs in the 8th inning as he walked 2 and struck out 1. With this win, May is 7-2 on the year. The save was given to the New York Mets closer for the day, Heath Hembree. Hembree allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. This would be his 9th of the season. In the Mets batting lineup, their third baseman, Jonathan Villar, went 3 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Their elite shortstop, Francisco Lindor, went 3 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 12th home run of the season to win the game for New York. Their center fielder, Brandon Nimmo, went 2 for 2 with an RBI and a run. Their elite second baseman, Javi Baez, went 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs, as Javi Baez hit his 27th home run of the season. After this Mets win, the Nats would win Game 2 of this doubleheader. They won this one 4-3. And for the Mets in this matchup, the complete game loss went to Tyler McGill. McGill allowed 4 earned runs in the 6 innings that he pitched, and he struck out 8 on the day. In the Mets batting lineup, their right fielder, Michael Conforto, went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run. And then he was the only player for the team that had more than 1 hit in Game 2. For the Washington Nationals in Game 2, the win went to their starting pitcher, Josh Rogers. Josh Rogers allowed 3 earned runs and 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 5 before getting pulled in the 6th inning. With this win, he's 1-0 on the season. The save was given to the Nats closer, Kyle Finnegan. Finnegan, after picking up the loss in Game 1, would allow no earned runs in the 7th inning as he struck out 2. This would be his 7th save of the season. In the Nats batting lineup, their shortstop, Alcides Escobar, went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would go on to hit his 2nd home run of the season. And with this loss and then win, the Washington Nationals are 56-79. That is the worst record in the National League East, as they've only won 2 of their last 10 games. They trail the Atlanta Braves by 15 games in the division, as they are one of 4 teams in the National League that have officially been eliminated from playoff contention, or at least they're eliminated from the wild card standpoint of it. But they are still able to compete in their division at the moment because they are trailing by 16 games in the wild card, but they're trailing by 15 games in the division right now. With this win and then loss, the New York Mets are now 68-68. That is the 3rd best record in the National League East. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Atlanta Braves by 3.5 games in the division. And at the moment, they trail the Cincinnati Reds by 4.5 games for that 2nd spot in the National League wildcard. The New York Mets are the 4th team on the outside looking in as they trail the San Diego Padres, the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Philadelphia Phillies as well. Jumping out to New York, but not the Mets, the New York Yankees hosted the Baltimore Orioles, and the Orioles would end up beating the Yankees 4-3. The difference would come in the 9th inning. The score was tied going into the 9th. It will be a sacrifice fly from Pedro Severino that gave the Orioles the game-winning run in their 42nd win of the year. For the New York Yankees of the Bronx, the start went to Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery would allow 1 earned run in 4.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 5 in that span. The loss would go to the Yankees closer, Aroldis Chapman. He allowed one earned run in the ninth inning as he struck out all three of the batters he needed to get out. With this loss, he's 5-4 on the season. In the Yankees batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than one hit, but their left fielder Joey Gallo will go 1-for-4 with 2 RBIs and a run, as his only hit was his 31st home run of the season. For the Baltimore Orioles, the start was given to Chris Ellis. Chris Ellis allowed no earned runs, and he allowed no hits in the first 5 innings of the game as he struck out 2. The win was given to the Orioles closer for the day, Cole Sulcer. Cole Sulcer allowed no earned runs in 1.1 innings pitched as he struck out a batter, closing out the 8th and 9th innings. With this win, he's 4-3 on the season. In the Orioles batting lineup, their all-star center fielder Cedric Mullins went 2-for-5 with an RBI and a run. Their right fielder Austin Hayes went 2-for-5 with an RBI. Their designated hitter, Trey Mancini, went 3-for-3 with a run. And then also the Orioles' second baseman for the day, Jahmai Jones, would end up going 2-for-4 with a run for the day. With this win, the Baltimore Orioles are 42-92. That is the worst record in the American League East, as they've won 4 of their last 10. They trailed the Tampa Bay Rays by 43 games in the division. That is the gap between the worst and best teams in the American League, which is actually bigger than the National Leagues. And of course, in the American League, they are one of 2 teams that have been officially eliminated from 2021 playoff contention this season. With this loss, the New York Yankees are now 78-57. That is the second best record in the American League East. They've lost 5 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 7.5 games in the division, and they are holding on to that first American League wildcard spot as they sit half a game ahead of the second-place Boston Red Sox at the moment. Jumping out to Wrigley in Chicago, the Cubs hosted the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Cubs were able to come away with a 7-6 win. Going into the 9th inning, the Pirates were up 6-4. It would be first, a single by Alfonso Rivas to shorten the Pirates' lead to 1. It would be a single from Rafael Ortega, bringing Sergio Alcantara home to tie the game up. And then it would be Frank Schwindel running it out to beat the throw to first to win the game for Chicago effectively, give them their 62nd win of the season. For the Pittsburgh Pirates, the start was given to JT Brubaker. He allowed 3 earned runs in the first 3 innings of the game as he struck out 5. The loss was given to the Pirates closer for the day, Chris Stratton. Chris Stratton would allow 3 earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched. He would complete the 7th inning, but not the 8th. This would be his 3rd blown save of the season. With this loss, he's 5-1. In the Pirates batting lineup, their left fielder on the day, Anthony Alford, would end up going 2-for-4 with an RBI and a run. He was the only player on the team with more than 1 hit yesterday. And then for the Chicago Cubs, the start was given to Kyle Hendricks. He allowed 6 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 1 before getting pulled in the 5th inning. The win was given to the Cubs closer, Scott Effross. Effross allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. With this win, he's 1-0 on the season. In the Cubs batting lineup, their center fielder, Rafael Ortega, went 3-for-5 with an RBI. Their first baseman, Frank Schwindel, went 3-for-5 with 2 RBIs and a run. In addition to legging out the the walk-off RBI single, he would hit his 10th home run of the game in the 5th inning. Also, their second baseman, Matt Duffy, went 2-for-4 with an RBI and a run as well. With this win, the Chicago Cubs are 62-75. That is the 4th best record in the National League Central, as they've won their last 5 games. That is currently the best winning streak in the National League, and that is the best winning streak in baseball at this moment. They've won 7 of their last 10. They trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 21 games in the division at the moment. With this loss, the Pittsburgh Pirates are 48-88. That is the worst record in the National League Central, and that is the 2nd worst record in the National League. They've lost their last 5 games. That is currently the worst losing streak in the National League and the worst losing streak in baseball at this moment. They've lost 8 of their last 10 games. They trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 34.5 games, as they and the Arizona Diamondbacks are the only 2 teams that are officially eliminated from playoff contention in the National League. jumping out to Toronto, the Toronto Blue Jays hosted the Oakland Athletics, both of these teams fighting for that second American League wildcard spot. In this matchup, the Blue Jays would beat the Athletics 10-8 as they scored 6 of their 10 runs in the 7th and 8th innings combined. For the Oakland Athletics in this matchup, the loss would go to their starting pitcher, Paul Blackburn. Blackburn allowed 4 earned runs in 3.2 innings pitched as he allowed 9 hits in that span. He would strike out 3 batters before getting pulled in the 4th inning. With this loss, he's 0-2. In the A's batting lineup, their shortstop Josh Harrison would end up going 2 for 5 on the day. Their elite third baseman Matt Chapman would go 1 for 3 with an RBI and 2 runs. Chapman would hit his 24th home run of the season. Then their left fielder Mark Canha would go 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. Canha would hit his 16th home run of the season. Their right fielder, Chad Pinder, would end up going 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run as well. For the Toronto Blue Jays, the win went to their starting pitcher, Jose Barrios. He allowed 3 earned runs in 6.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 7 batters before getting pulled in the 7th inning. With this win, he's now 10-7 on the season. In the Blue Jays batting lineup, their all-star shortstop, Bo Bichette, would go 2 for 4 with 2 runs. Their left fielder, Lourdes Gurriel Jr., would go 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 16th home run of the season, and their catcher, Danny Jansen, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 7th home run of the season. With this win, the Toronto Blue Jays are 72-62. That is the 4th best record in the American League East. They've won their last 3 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 13 games in the division, and they trail the Boston Red Sox by 5 games for that second wild card spot. They are the 3rd team on the outside looking in, as they trail the Oakland Athletics and Seattle Mariners in that race. With this loss, the Oakland Athletics are now 74-62. They are tied with the Seattle Mariners for the second best record in the American League West. The A's have lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They trail the Houston Astros by 5.5 games in the division. And at the moment, they trail the Boston Red Sox by 4 games for that wild card spot, as they and the Mariners are also tied for that first spot on the outside looking in. Jumping out to Tampa Bay, the American League's best team, Tampa Bay Rays, hosted the Minnesota Twins, and the Rays were able to pull off an 11-4 win, scoring all 11 of their runs in the first 4 innings of the game. For the Minnesota Twins, the loss was given to their starting pitcher, Andrew Albers. Andrew Albers would allow 9 earned runs in 3 innings pitched as he would strike out 2 batters. With this loss, he's 1-1 on the season. In the Twins batting lineup, their second baseman, Jorge Polanco, went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He hit his 26th home run of the season. Also, their left fielder, Rob Refsnyder, went 2 for 2. And then for the Tampa Bay Rays, the win went to their starting pitcher, Chris Archer. Chris Archer would allow 4 earned runs in the first 5 innings of the game as he struck out 3. With this win, he is 1-1 on the season, and the save was given to the Rays closer, Dietrich Enns. Enns would allow no earned runs in the final 3 innings of the game as he struck out 3 batters as he pitched the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings. This would be his first save of the year. In the Rays batting lineup, their elite left field rookie, Randy Arozarena, would end up going 3 for 4 with an RBI and 3 runs. He would hit his 19th home run of the season. Their elite rookie shortstop, Wander Franco, would go 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. Wander Franco, like I said, he had a pretty good game for himself. Their third baseman, Yandy Diaz, went 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs and a run as he hit his 10th home run of the season. Their elite designated hitter, Nelson Cruz, went 1 for 4 with an RBI and 2 runs. He hit his 27th home run of the season. Their second baseman, Brandon Lau, went 2 for 3 with an RBI and a run on the day as he hit his 32nd home run of the season. With this win, the Tampa Bay Rays are 86-50. That is the best record in the American League East and the best record in the American League. At the moment, they are tied with the Dodgers and the Giants for the best record in baseball. So there is a 3-way tie for the best record in baseball at the moment. The Rays have won their last 2 games, and they've won 8 of their last 10. They sit 7.5 games ahead of the second-place New York Yankees in their division, and they are holding that number 1 spot in the American League playoff picture, sitting ahead of the second seed Houston Astros controlling the West, and they are sitting ahead of the third seed Chicago White Sox, who are currently controlling the American League Central at the that's what they're doing. With this loss, the Minnesota Twins are 58-77. That is the worst record in the American League Central. They've lost their last 4 games, and they've lost 6 of their last 10. They trail the Chicago White Sox by 20.5 games in the division. But right now, they're still competing for playoff contention, but they're still pretty far out. Jumping out to Boston in Fenway, the Red Sox hosted the Cleveland Indians, who were able to pull off a 4-3 win. The Red Sox would score 3 runs in the 7th inning to take a 3-0 lead. The Indians would even the game up at 3 in the top of the 9th inning thanks to a 2-run home run from Franmil Reyes. And then it would be a walk-off RBI single from Alex Verdugo to give the Red Sox their 79th win of the season. For Cleveland, the start was given to Eli Morgan, and Eli Morgan would go on to have a pretty solid pitching performance on the day. And for him, he would go on to pitch 5.2 innings, allowing no earned runs and only 3 hits in that span, striking out 7. And the loss, however, was given to the Indians setup relief pitcher Brian Shaw. Shaw allowed 1 earned run in 1.1 innings pitched. With this, he would go on to start the 7th and 8th innings. But with this loss, he's now 6-7 on the year. In the Indians' batting lineup, nobody on the team had more than 1 hit. However, their pinch hitter, Franmil Reyes, would go 1 for 1 with 2 RBIs and a run. He hit his 25th home run of the season. For the Boston Red Sox, the start was given to Tanner Houck. He allowed no earned runs and only 3 hits in the first 5 innings of the game as he struck out 7. The win was given to the Red Sox closer, Adam Ottavino. Adam Ottavino would allow 3 earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. He would pick up his 5th blown save of the season, but with this win, he's now 5-3. In the Red Sox batting lineup, their center fielder, Alex Verdugo, went 2 for 4 with an RBI. Their all-star third baseman, Rafael Devers, went 1 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run as he hit his 33rd home run of the season. And then their catcher, Christian Vasquez, would go 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Boston Red Sox are now 79-59 on the season. That is the 3rd best record in the American League East, win percentage-wise. They've won their last 4 games, and they've won 7 of their last 10. They trail the Tampa Bay Rays by 8 games in the division, and they are holding on to that 2nd American League wildcard spot, trailing the New York Yankees by half a game for that 1st spot, and they're also sitting 4 games ahead of the Oakland Athletics and the Seattle Mariners, who are tied for that 1st spot on the outside looking in. With this loss, the Cleveland Indians are 67-66. That is the 2nd best record in the American League Central. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 4 of their last 10. They trail the Chicago White Sox by 10.5 games in the division at the moment. Jumping out to Miami, the Miami Marlins hosted the Philadelphia Phillies. The Marlins were able to pull off a 3-2 win at home. The Phillies led for most of this game. It would go into the bottom of the 8th. Miguel Rojas would have an RBI single to shorten the Phillies' lead to 1, and it would be a 2-run home run from Lewis Brinson to give the Marlins the lead, especially when they needed it the most. For the Philadelphia Phillies, the start was given to Ranger Suarez. He allowed no earned runs and only 2 hits in the first 5 innings of the game, striking out 7. The loss was given to the Phillies closer, Archie Bradley. Archie Bradley picked up his 3rd blown save of the season after he allowed 30 earned runs in the 8th inning, striking out 3. With this loss, he's 7-3 on the season for Philly. In the Phillies batting lineup, their catcher, JT Realmuto, their all-star, went 2 for 4 on the day. And for the Miami Marlins, or also for the Phillies, their shortstop, Didi Gregorius, went 2 for 3 with a run. For Miami, the start went to their starting pitcher, Trevor Rogers. Trevor Rogers allowed 2 earned runs in 4.1 innings pitched, striking out 3. The win was given to the Marlins setup relief pitcher, Anthony Bass. He allowed no earned runs in the 8th inning as he struck out 3. With this win, he's 2-7 on the year. The save was given to the Marlins closer, Dylan Floro. Dylan Floro would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning as he struck out a batter. This would be his 8th save of the year. In the Marlins batting lineup, their shortstop Miguel Rojas will go 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run. And with this win, the Miami Marlins are 57-79. That is the 4th best record in the National League East. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They currently trail the Atlanta Braves by 14.5 games in the division at the moment. And with this loss, the Philadelphia Phillies are 69-66. That is the 2nd best record in the National League East, as they've lost their last 2 games and they've lost 4 of their last 10. They trail the Atlanta Braves by 2 games in the division, and they trail the Cincinnati Reds by 3 games for that 2nd National League wildcard spot. They are sitting in that 3rd spot on the outside looking in, as they trail the San Diego Padres and the St. Louis Cardinals as well. Jumping out to Cincinnati, the Reds hosted the Detroit Tigers, and the Reds were able to pull off a 7-4 win at home after 5 of their 7 were scored in the 3rd inning. For the Detroit Tigers in this matchup, the start and loss would end up being given to Matthew Boyd. Matthew Boyd allowed 5 earned runs in the first 4 innings of the game, striking out 6. With this loss, he's 3-8 on the year. In the Tigers batting lineup, their right fielder, Robbie Grossman, went 2 for 5. Their second baseman, Jonathan Scope, went 2 for 5 with 2 runs. And those are the only 2 players with multi-hit games for Detroit. For the Cincinnati Reds, the win went to their starting pitcher, Tyler Mahle. He allowed 4 earned runs in the first 5 innings of the game, striking out 8. With this win, Mahle is 11-5 on the year. The save was given to the Reds closer, Michael Givens. Givens allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he would go on to strike out a batter. In the Reds batting lineup, there's rookie second baseman Jonathan India would go 2 for 4. Their catcher Tyler Stevenson would go 2 for 5 with a run. And with this win, the Cincinnati Reds are now 73-64. That is currently the 2nd best record in the National League Central. They've won 4 of their last 10 games as they trailed the Milwaukee Brewers by 10 games in the division. They are sitting in with that 2nd National League wildcard spot as they trail the 2-way tie of the Dodgers and the Giants by 13.5 games for that 1st spot. And they sit half a game ahead of the San Diego Padres, who are the first team on the outside looking in. With this loss, the Detroit Tigers are 64-73. That is the 3rd best record in the American League Central. They've lost 7 of their last 10 games as they trail the Chicago White Sox by 15.5 games in the division at the moment. Jumping out to Kansas City, the Kansas City Royals hosted the Chicago White Sox, who are currently leading this American League Central. In this matchup, the White Sox would beat the Royals 10-7 after scoring 9 of their 10 in the first 5 innings of the game. For Kansas City, the loss was given to their starting pitcher, Daniel Lynch. Lynch would allow 6 earned runs in 2.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 3 batters before getting pulled in the 3rd inning, and with this loss, he's 4-4 on the season. In the Royals batting lineup, their shortstop, Nicky Lopez, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their elite designated hitter, Salvador Perez, would go 2 for 4 with 5 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 39th and 40th home runs of the season. I heard something saying that he was the first catcher since 2003 to hit 40 home runs in a season, so of course, congratulations to him. And then for the Chicago White Sox, the start was given to Reynaldo Lopez. He allowed 3 earned runs in the first 4 innings of the game, striking out a batter. The win was given to the White Sox 3rd relief pitcher of the day, their elite relief pitcher, Craig Kimbrell. He allowed no earned runs in the 7th inning as he struck out 3. With this win, he's 3-4 on the year, and the save would end up going to the White Sox elite closer, Liam Hendricks. He allowed no earned runs in the 9th inning as he would strike out a batter. With this save, he's now 3-2 on the year. In the White Sox batting lineup, their center fielder, Luis Robert, would go 4 for 5 with an RBI and 3 runs. He would hit his 17th home run of the year. Their elite first baseman, reigning American League MVP, Jose Abreu, would go 3 for 4 with an RBI and 3 runs. Additionally, their catcher, Yasmani Grandal, went 3 for 3 with 4 RBIs and a run. He hit his 19th home run of the season. And then also for the White Sox, their shortstop, Danny Mendick, would end up going 2 for 5 with a run. With this win, the Chicago White Sox are now 79-57. That is the best record in the American League Central. They've won 7 of their last 10 as they sit 10.5 games ahead of the second-place Cleveland Indians in their division. And they're holding on to that 3rd seed in the American League playoff picture by half a game. But they currently trail the 1st seed Tampa Bay Rays by 7 games for that first spot. And they sit half a game behind the Houston Astros for the second spot for that second seed in the American League. With this loss, the Kansas City Royals are now 60-75. That is the 4th best record in the American League Central. They've lost 6 of their last 10 games as they trail the Chicago White Sox by 18.5 games in the division at the moment. Jumping out to Milwaukee, the Brewers hosted the St. Louis Cardinals and were able to shut the Cardinals out 4-0, holding the Cardinals to only 3 hits all game. For St. Louis, the start and loss will go to Kwang Hyun Kim. He would allow 4 earned runs in 1.2 innings pitched as he struck out 1. The Brewers, all 4 of their runs would come in the first 2 innings. With this loss, Kwang Hyun Kim is 6-7 on the season. In the Cardinals batting lineup, their second baseman, Tommy Edman, was the only player with a multi-hit game. He went 2 for 4 for the day. For Milwaukee, these pitching performance of the day yesterday went to their starting pitcher, Adrian Houser. Adrian Houser would pick up the complete game shutout as he allowed no earned runs and only 3 hits in 9 innings pitched, striking out 7. With this win, Adrian Houser is 8-6 on the season. In the Brewers batting lineup, their second baseman, Luis Urias, would end up going 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 19th home run of the season. Their shortstop, Willy Adames, went 3 for 3 as well. And with this win, the Milwaukee Brewers are 83-54. That is the best record in the National League Central. They've won 5 of their last 10 games as they sit 10 games ahead of the second-place Cincinnati Reds in their division. They're holding on to that 2nd seed in the National League playoff picture as they trail the Dodgers and Giants for that first spot, because I guess they're both tied for that first spot and for that wild card spot. And the Brewers are also sitting ahead of the 3rd seed Atlanta Braves, who are currently leading the National League East. With this loss, the St. Louis Cardinals are 69-65. That is the 3rd best record in the National League Central. They have lost 4 of their last 10 games as they now trail the Milwaukee Brewers by 12.5 games in the division. They trail the Cincinnati Reds by 2.5 games for that 2nd National League wildcard spot. The Cardinals are the 2nd team on the outside looking in as they also trail the San Diego Padres. The Padres are another team that sits between them and that playoff spot. Jumping out to Phoenix, the Arizona Diamondbacks hosted the Seattle Mariners. In this interleague matchup, the Mariners would beat the Diamondbacks 8-5. The score was tied at 5. The separation was created in the 6th inning off of a 3-run home run from Kyle Seager, his 2nd of the game. For the Arizona Diamondbacks in this matchup, the start was given to Humberto Castellanos. Humberto Castellanos would allow 5 earned runs in 3.2 innings. He would strike out 4 before getting pulled in the 4th inning. The loss was given to the Diamondbacks' first relief pitcher on the day, Caleb Smith. Smith allowed 3 earned runs in 2.1 innings pitched. He would strike out 1 before he would get pulled after the 6th inning. With this loss, Caleb Smith is 4-9 on the year. In the Diamondbacks batting lineup, their second baseman Andrew Young would end up going 2 for 3 with a run on the day. Their left fielder David Peralta would go 2 for 4 with a run as well. And then for the Seattle Mariners, the win went to their starting pitcher, Marco Gonzalez. He allowed 5 earned runs in the first 5 innings of the game as he struck out 2. With this win, he's 7-5 on the season. The save was given to Seattle's closer, Diego Castillo. Diego Castillo would allow no earned runs in the 9th inning, and with this save, he has 16 saves on the year. In the Mariners batting lineup, their shortstop, J.P. Crawford, went 4 for 5 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 29th double of the season. Their third baseman, Kyle Seager, will be the best hitter of the day. He went 2 for 5 with 6 RBIs and 2 runs. His 2 hits were his 32nd and 33rd home runs of the season. Their second baseman, Abraham Toro, would end up going 2 for 4 as well. Also, their left fielder, Jose Marmolejos, would go 2 for 4 with a run. With this win, the Seattle Mariners are 74 and 62. They are tied with the Oakland Athletics for the second best record in the American League West. The Mariners have won their last 4 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They are tied with the Boston Red Sox for the best winning streak in the American League. At the moment, they trail the Houston Astros by 5.5 games in the division. And they, alongside the Oakland Athletics, are sitting 4 games behind the Boston Red Sox for that second American League wildcard spot. The A's and the Mariners are both tied for that first spot on the outside looking in. With this loss, the Arizona Diamondbacks are 45 and 92. That is the worst record in the National League West and the worst record in the National League. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They trail the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers by 41.5 games in the division, which is the gap between the best and worst teams in the National League, which is smaller than that of the American League. And also, the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Pittsburgh Pirates they are the 2 teams that have effectively been eliminated from playoff contention this year. So that's where the Arizona Diamondbacks sit right now. Jumping up to Denver, the site of the 2021 MLB All-Star Game, the Colorado Rockies would end up beating the National League East leading Atlanta Braves for their 63rd win of the season. For the Atlanta Braves, the start was given to Ian Anderson. Anderson allowed 4 earned runs in the first 3 innings of the game. The loss was given to the Braves' third relief pitcher of the day, A.J. Minter. A.J. Minter allowed 2 earned runs in .1 inning pitch. He would start the 6th inning, but he wouldn't make it through. With this loss, he's now 2-5 on the season. In the Atlanta Braves batting lineup, their elite second baseman, Ozzie Albies, went 2 for 5 with an RBI and 2 runs. He hit his 25th home run of the season. This is the first time in MLB history that 4 infielders for the same team have hit 25 home runs. Additionally, for the Atlanta Braves, their left fielder, Adam Duvall, went 2 for 4 with an RBI. With this win, for the Colorado Rockies, the start went to German Marquez. He allowed 4 runs in the first 5 innings of the game as he struck out 5 for Colorado. The win went to the Rockies' first relief pitcher, Tyler Kinley. Kinley allowed no earned runs in the 6th inning, and with this win, he's 3-2. The save was given to the Rockies' closer for the day, Carlos Estevez. He allowed 1 earned run in the 9th inning as he would strike out a batter. This would be his 5th save of the year. In the Rockies batting lineup, their elite right fielder, Charlie Blackmon, would go 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs. He would hit his 13th home run of the season yesterday. And with this win, the Colorado Rockies are now 63 and 73. That is the 4th best record in the National League West as they've won their last 2 games. They've won 6 of their last 10. They trailed the Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants by 23 games in the division. And with this loss, the Atlanta Braves are now 71 and 64. That is the best record in the National League East. They've lost their last 2 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They currently sit 2 games ahead of the second-place Philadelphia Phillies in their division, and they're holding on to that 3rd seed in the league as they sit behind the LA Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants, who are fighting it out for that 1st seed, and they currently sit behind the Milwaukee Brewers, who are holding on to that 2nd seed at the moment. Jumping out to San Diego, the San Diego Padres hosted the Houston Astros, and the Padres were able to pull off a 10-2 win at home after the Astros scored the very first 2 runs of the game. For the Astros, the loss went to their starting pitcher, Framber Valdez. Valdez allowed 4 earned runs in the first 6 innings of the game as he struck out 4. With this loss, Valdez is 9-5 on the season. In the Astros batting lineup, their first baseman, Yuli Gurriel, will go 2 for 3 with an RBI. Also, their center fielder, Kyle Tucker, will go 2 for 4 with an RBI and a run. He hit his 24th home run of the season. For the San Diego Padres, the win went to their starting pitcher, Joe Musgrove. He allowed 2 earned runs in 5.1 innings pitched, striking out 4. With this win, he's 10-8 on the season. And in the Padres batting lineup, their elite center fielder, Fernando Tatis Jr., would go on to go 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs and 2 runs on the day. He hit his 37th home run of the season. Additionally, their elite third baseman, Manny Machado, will go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a run as he hit his 24th home run of the season. Their right fielder, Will Myers, will go 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and 2 runs as he hit his 17th home run of the year. And with this win, the San Diego Padres are 72-64. That is the third best record in the National League West. They've won 4 of their last 10 games as they sit 14 games behind the LA Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants. They currently sit half a game behind the Cincinnati Reds for that second National League wildcard spot, as the San Diego Padres are currently the first team on the outside of the wildcard picture looking in. With this loss, the Houston Astros are now 79-56. That is the best record in the American League West. They've lost 4 of their last 10 games as they currently sit 5.5 games ahead of the Oakland Athletics and Seattle Mariners in their division. They are holding on to that second playoff seed as they currently sit 6.5 games behind the Tampa Bay Rays, who are currently leading the American League East. And they also sit half a game ahead of the Chicago White Sox, who are holding that 3 seed, who are sitting over the American League Central at the moment. Jumping out to the Bay Area, the San Francisco Giants hosted the LA Dodgers, and as these two teams are fighting for the best record in the National League West, the LA Dodgers would take yesterday's game, winning that one 6-1 after scoring 3 of their runs in the first inning, not giving the Giants a chance to take the lead. For the Giants, the loss was given to their starting pitcher, Jay Jackson. Jay Jackson allowed 3 earned runs and only recorded 1 out before getting pulled. He would strike out 1 batter, and with this loss, he's 2-1 on the season. In the Giants' batting lineup, their elite right fielder, Chris Bryant, went 2 for 4 with a run. Their future Hall of Fame catcher Buster Posey went 3 for 4 with an RBI as well. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, the win went to their starting pitcher, Julio Urias. Urias would allow only 1 earned run in 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 8 in that span before getting pulled in the 6th, and with this win, he's 16-3 on the year. And just that's how he's been performing this season. And in the Dodgers batting lineup, nobody on the team would finish with more than 1 hit. However, their all-star infielder, their all-star second baseman, Trey Turner, went 1 for 4 with an RBI and a run. His home run would be his 21st home run of the season. And also their elite shortstop, Corey Seager, would go 1 for 3 with 2 RBIs and a run. He would hit his 8th home run of the season. With this win, the defending champs LA Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants are both 86-50. Both the Dodgers and the Giants, along with the Tampa Bay Rays, all are holding the best records they are all tied for the best record in baseball at the moment. For the winning LA Dodgers, they have won 7 of their last 10 games. And for the Giants, they have lost 6 of their last 10. But they both sit 14 games ahead of the San Diego Padres for that second spot in the division. They sit 13.5 spots ahead of the second-place Cincinnati Reds for that second wildcard spot. And they are also holding on to that first seed in the division as they are sitting ahead of the first seed in the league in the playoff picture, as they sit ahead of the second seed Milwaukee Brewers leading the National League Central. And they sit ahead of the third seed Atlanta Braves, who are currently leading the National League East. Jumping out to Anaheim, the Los Angeles Angels hosted the Texas Rangers, as the Angels would score 3 of their 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th off of a home run from Shohei Ohtani, his 43rd of the season. For the Texas Rangers, the loss went to their starting pitcher, Colby Allard. Colby Allard allowed 3 earned runs in 5.2 innings pitched. He would strike out 4. With this loss, he's 3-12 on the season. In the Rangers batting lineup, their center fielder, Leody Taveras, would go 2 for 4 with a run. And then for the LA Angels, the complete game win would go to Jose Suarez. Suarez allowed 1 earned run off of 5 hits in the 9 innings that he pitched, and he would strike out 8 on the game. With this win, he's 6-7 on the year. In the Angels batting lineup, their all-star designated hitter, Shohei Ohtani, will go 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and a run. He hit his 43rd home run of the season, like I mentioned earlier, which is currently leading baseball. With this win, the Los Angeles Angels are 68-68. That is the 4th best record in the American League West. They've won their last 2 games, and they've won 6 of their last 10. They currently trail the Houston Astros by 11.5 games in the division. And with this loss, the Texas Rangers are now 47-88. That is the worst record in the American League West, and that is the 2nd worst record in the American League. They've lost their last 3 games, and they've lost 7 of their last 10. They trail the Houston Astros by 32 games in the division, and they are one of 2 teams in the American League who have been eliminated from playoff contention already, alongside the Baltimore Orioles. So that is what the MLB is looking like following yesterday's matchups. Looking forward to what's going on today, as today is Sunday. You'll see a lot of series wrapping up, which is why a lot of games are happening during the day, so the teams can travel later on. Starting at 1:05, the New York Yankees, led by their elite starting pitcher Corey Kluber, are going to host Keegan Akin and the Baltimore Orioles. Corey Kluber comes into this matchup with a 4-3 record, holding a 3.61 ERA. At the same time, at 1:05, Josiah Gray and the Washington Nationals are going to host Taijuan Walker and the New York Mets in Nationals Park. Taijuan Walker enters this matchup with a 7-9 record, holding a 3.89 ERA. At 1:07, Robbie Ray and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to host Cole Irvin and the Oakland Athletics. Cole Irvin enters his matchup with a 9-12 record, holding a 3.74 ERA. Robbie Ray enters his matchup with a 10-5 record, holding a 2.71 ERA so far. At 1:10 on TBS, Nick Pivetta and the Boston Red Sox are going to host Zach Plesac and the Cleveland Indians. And that's going to be a pretty solid matchup, like I said. Boston's still holding on to a playoff spot as they continue to fight for that. At 1:10, there will be 3 matchups. First, Luis Castillo and the Cincinnati Reds are going to host Casey Mize and the Detroit Tigers. Casey Mize enters his matchup with a 7-7 record, holding a 3.59 ERA. The second of these 1:10 matchups will feature Luis Patino and the Tampa Bay Rays hosting Griffin Jacks and the Minnesota Twins. And then the third matchup will have Eliezer Hernandez and the Miami Marlins hosting the Philadelphia Phillies. At 2:10, there will be 2 matchups starting then. Brady Singer and the Kansas City Royals are going to host Dylan Cease and the Chicago White Sox. Dylan Cease enters his matchup with an 11-6 record, holding a 3.82 ERA. And then the other game happening at this time will be in Milwaukee as the Brewers all-star starting pitcher Corbin Burns hosts John Lester and the St. Louis Cardinals. Corbin Burns enters his matchup with a 9-4 record, holding a 2.27 ERA. Additionally, at 2:20, Zach Davies and the Chicago Cubs are going to host Will Crow and the Pittsburgh Pirates. At 4:07 on ESPN Plus, Jansen Junk and the LA Angels are going to host Taylor Hearn and the Texas Rangers. Taylor Hearn enters his matchup with a 4-4 record, holding a 3.96 ERA. At 3:10, Ryan Feltner and the Colorado Rockies are going to host Charlie Morton and the Atlanta Braves. Charlie Morton enters his matchup with a 12-5 record, holding a 3.52 ERA. At 4:10, Chris Paddock and the San Diego Padres are going to host Luis Garcia and the Houston Astros, as both these teams are fighting for playoff positioning. Luis Garcia enters his matchup with a 10-6 record, holding a 3.23 ERA. At the same time, at 4:10, Tyler Gilbert and the Arizona Diamondbacks are going to host Chris Flexen and the Seattle Mariners. Chris Flexen enters his matchup with an 11-5 record, holding a 3.52 ERA. At 7 o'clock on ESPN, the San Francisco Giants are going to host the elite Walker Buehler and the defending World Series champs LA Dodgers. Walker Buehler enters his matchup with a 13-2 record, holding a 2.05 ERA thus far in the season. So, of course, that is what baseball is looking like thus far. Taking a look at what's been going on with soccer, especially yesterday, the only matchups that really took place were in Europe. The big matchup that took place was between France and Ukraine. France would end up drawing Ukraine at 1 after Anthony Martial's 50th minute goal would even up that matchup. So that's how that series is looking at the moment. And then Croatia was able to beat Slovakia 1-0 against their only goal. Came from Brozovic in the second half. Looking at what's going on today in the world of soccer, saying within the continent of the United States, or at least in the CONCACAF, Mexico is going to face off against Costa Rica at 7 o'clock, and the U.S. is going to face off against Canada. Looking at what's going on in the European qualifiers, England's going to face off against Andorra at 12 o'clock, Belgium versus the Czech Republic at 2:45. Germany's going to face off against Armenia at 2:45 as well. Poland's going to face off against San Marino at 2:45, and Spain versus Georgia at 2:45 as well. Also at 2:45, Switzerland's going to face Italy. For the FIFA World Cup qualifying for South American nations, Brazil's going to face off against Argentina at 3 o'clock. Ecuador is going to face off against Chile at 5 o'clock. Colombia versus Paraguay at 6. Uruguay versus Bolivia at 6 o'clock as well. And then in the African matchups, Gabon is going to face off against Egypt's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is going to face off against Mo Salah. And with that said, that's virtually everything that's going on with sports today for Sunday, September 5th, 2021, as we navigate through the world of sports one day at a time. I'm James Sims, and I want to thank everyone for listening to the full hour of this piece. We are slowly entering this football season, and I really can't wait. I first want to thank the MLB, ESPN, and college football websites for giving me what I needed for this episode. I want to, of course, apologize for all the names that I butchered. I do hope to eventually get them right. And I want to thank everyone once again for listening to all 1 hour of this piece. Once again, today is Sunday, September 5th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. Once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow on Monday, September 6th for another episode. But until then, thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and peace out. I'll catch you with another episode tomorrow.